Aristotle was born in Greece in 384 BC and was famously a student of Plato, but we shouldn't regard him as being all that Platonic in that sense, because in many ways he criticises his tutor quite a bit, and indeed some argue, not me, but some argue that there are two broad themes in philosophy that go throughout the Western world. One is Platonic philosophy and the other is Aristotelian. One of the crucial quotes that we remember from Aristotle is, "Man is by nature a social animal." Now, this has two crucial impacts in the history of political thought, the second of which I want to concentrate on most in this mini video. The first, however, is that the state is a natural entity. It isn't created via a social contract, as Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau would later argue. It is a natural thing. Wherever you see people, you see states and political organisations, in much the same way as you see schools of fish and falls of woodcocks and animals living together. So too you have people. So politics shouldn't be regarded as something that we create, and the state isn't something we create. It's just a natural entity. The second impact is on citizenship, which is what I really want to focus on. Now, perhaps we in the modern world regard citizenship as being a legal status or a package of rights. I am a legal citizen of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. You may be a citizen of France, of the United States of America, of Australia, of India, or wherever. Because we are a citizen of a certain country, we have a certain package of citizenship rights, and which might include voting in elections. It might include certain healthcare provisions and certain legal provisions and whatever. That's not really how Aristotle sees citizenship. Citizenship isn't something passive, isn't a set of rights, but rather an activity. And because we are social animals, we should participate in those activities. We shouldn't just vote in elections and let other people do things for them. We should be actively involved in day-to-day state politics. Now, this causes other problems. Now, Aristotle was probably what we would regard today as being a political scientist. He preferred the real to the ideal. He isn't like his tutor Plato, who in the Republic dreamed of what the perfect state should be, and so we should all be aiming for that. Aristotle recognised that there was different types of state and different types of governments that existed around the world. And he classified these into good and bad forms of government based upon who governed. If you were governed by one person, then you had the good form of this, which was monarchy or kingship, and you had the bad version, which was tyranny. If you were governed by a few people, the good form of this was aristocracy, government of the best, and the bad form was oligarchy. If you were governed by lots of people, or the majority of citizens, then the good form of this was called polity. The bad form, democracy. Remember, if you go into the Middle Ages, when people refer to democracy as being a bad thing, it's because of this Aristotelian classification. Now, the difference between the good form of everything and the bad form of everything is whether those that govern in the interests of everybody in the good form, or themselves in the bad form. Obviously one person governing in their own interests, it would be a tyranny. If one person governed in everybody's interest, it would be a monarchy. But why Aristotle hints that democracy might be the best of the bad forms is by the pure mathematics of it. The more people you involve in governing, the more likely that is to be everyone. Now, Aristotle suggests that he messes up the criteria a little bit near the end, suggests that the best form of government is some mixture of polity and aristocracy, but that's not where I want to go in this mini video, because it presents us with a problem, that there are good forms of government and bad forms of government, and yet citizenship and participating in politics is so crucial for Aristotle. Presents us with this issue: what happens if you are a good man You adhere to a moral code, or you have a moral code which you think is right and proper, but you live in a bad state. What should the good man, and I apologise for using the phrase good man, it's not acceptable in the modern world, but I'm using Aristotle's version here. What should the good man do when their state is bad, and one might feel now that you shouldn't participate in it? Aristotle said that not participating is impossible. To be above participating in politics, you must be either a god or a beast. You must be above politics or beneath it. Now, there are numerous test cases through history whereby good people have been faced by bad governments, and whereas we shouldn't judge Aristotle on things of which he's unaware of, he didn't know about Germany under the Nazis, he didn't know about Soviet Union under Stalin and these things which have come in the modern world of atrocious regimes, but he does give us this philosophical dilemma. If I've understood Aristotle correctly, what he says is this: because citizenship is so important to the human condition, we must participate in and do what is required of us by the state, whatever state we live in. But what the good man should be doing is behind the scenes, via persuasion, via argument, try and turn a bad state into a good state. So it's via these sort of rather messy means of ordinary day-to-day politics that citizenship becomes important. So, to conclude, we see in Aristotle the importance of citizenship and this challenge to the notion of citizenship in a sort of liberal minimalistic model of it just citizens being the possessor of rights. Citizenship is an activity, it's something we should engage in every day. But we also see notions, republican notions, that governments at its best should be in the interest of everybody, not just the people that governs. And this is a republican principle that has gone throughout the ages. So Aristotle, I think, presents us with relevant ethical dilemmas today.